Are you kidding me? Well, yeah, your lymph system's going to pick it up. I know for a fact that my lymph system's only picking up 10 to 15%. So you tell me where the remaining 85% of the fat in that cell is going to go. Nobody could answer my question. Nobody. Needless to say, I walked out. But, I was just like, wow, they get to tell people this. But anyway, so, like I said, these vessels start at this cellular level. They start at the level of my capillary beds. Their structure, it's really cool. Their structure, they're going to have valves because, once again, we want to ensure one-way flow. And the fluid that they pick up is lymph. Don't call it anything else, okay? This is termed lymph. So, whatever fluid they recover at that tissue level, it's going to be a clear, colorless fluid, very similar to what you see with blood plasma. Now, this lymph, as it moves through the vessels, because once again, it's a vascular system, okay? It makes its way to the lymph node. When it leaves a lymph node, that lymph node has had a large number of the lymphocytes, T cells, B cells, okay? But also, in a lymph node, it can have macrophages. We have hormones, bacteria, viruses, debris, cancer cells. All of these little things are going to travel to that through, I should say, because the fluid's going to move through the lymph node. It's going to be one-way movement also, okay? So it's moving through that lymph node. Hopefully, it's going to be destroyed by the majority of those lymphocytes and other immune cells that can be present. So hopefully, any type of bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, whatever the case might be, as it gets to that lymph node, hopefully the cells that are found there can take care of it. We call the vessels of this system the lymphatics. And that is a term you're going to come across once you get into your chosen profession. Like I said, they begin at the cellular level. They are termed at the cellular level lymphatic capillaries. And they're very similar, but they're closed. So once a valve opens, once the pressure increases enough to make this valve open and fluid moves in, it'll simply close back up. And it will begin its one-way movement back to the heart. So these vessels, okay, they're going to push the fluid that gets picked up. They're going to keep pushing it, pushing it, and pushing it, for the most part against gravity. They're going to be pushing it, and as it moves through lymph nodes, okay, hopefully get the cleansing done, then they empty the majority back into the subclavian vein before it reaches the superior vena cava for return to the heart with super cleansed fluid. The vessels start out very small, so at that cellular level, the vessels are tiny. They increase in size as they continue to move back to circulation. the way that the fluid is going to move, the fluid moves from the cells into a lymphatic capillary that moves into what's called a collecting vessel. Throughout the body, we're going to find that we have lymphatic trunks, areas that they will move into, and then collecting ducts, which are going to make their way to the subclavian veins. So, if I'm at the area of the capillary that's picking up the fluid, that's going to take it in one-way motion, it's going to move through the vessels into a lymph node. Valves are going to ensure one-way flow. Vessels are going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger until they empty back into the subclavian vein before going to the heart with almost material, very plasma-like, to the blood, which now gets to get into the blood, travel to the cells of the body for cleansing, moving materials, all that sort of stuff. So this lymph system is hopefully picking up hopefully it's picking up stuff out of those cells. I mean, that's the best thing I can say. I was going to say like super dirty, but it's just filled with all of these different foreign particles, stuff that can make you sick, that sort of thing, and cleansing it to return it to the blood.
It's a pasta strainer.
Huh?
It's a pasta strainer.
Pretty much, so that hopefully you know it's cleansing the body of pathogens. Hopefully that's the goal. So once we have the pickup of the fluid, making it to the vessels, and then the trunks, these lymph nodes. Well, first of all, what do you kind of notice about where lymph nodes are located?
Seem to be
Pretty much the trunk, like you said, pretty much the trunk of the body. They are like very high in number in areas throughout what we think of as like this trunk of the body. You're not really seeing any in the legs. All this fluid has to work its way against gravity, but then it begins to reach lymph nodes. So on its pathway, the vessels, they make their way through quite a few lymph nodes. In these upper extremities, you're seeing lymph nodes, probably the ones that we're most familiar with, axillary, the ones that we think of here near the neck, okay? These are the ones we tend to think about the most. But throughout the abdomen and the abdominal, this pelvic region, tons of lymph nodes. Why?
That's where most of the viscera is located?
It's where a lot of the viscera is located. I'm eating, I've got my digestive system. The digestive system is surrounded by blood vessels because this is where material is going to move into the bloodstream to begin its pathway around the body. And that's a very dirty job, so to speak. So now, when we look at this lymphatic system, okay, we find that in all of these areas, we are draining major portions of the body. Head, neck, arms, abdomen, pelvic region, legs. We are draining major areas of the body. Like I said, we have 6 trunks. So if we come over here, they're showing us we have a lumbar trunk, legs, pelvic. Is everybody kind of following me here? Okay. And intestinal trunk, just like the name implies. Subclavian, upper extremities. I've got my jugular trunk, bronchomediastinal, heart, lungs, intercostal, lungs, ribs. I don't know about y'all, but that works pretty good because it's keeping blood flow, especially around the viscera, hopefully pretty clean, picking things up that could normally make us sick. And then if we look at right and left, okay, we're going to drain into my thoracic vein, this thoracic area before returning to the heart. That's pretty cool. So that when that fluid returns, hopefully it's very well cleansed. The collecting ducts for all of these areas of the body, on the right side of the body versus the left, what do you notice about the picture? That's it for the right. Everything else moves to my left. So the 2 collecting ducts, I've got one from the right, and then all of this from the left. They're going to come, they're basically the convergence of jugular, subclavian, and bronchomediastinal trunks. The thoracic duct, where I've got left and right, okay, they're going to drain into the vein. Now, over here, where I've got the right side, where it's only draining a very small portion of the body, okay, on this portion over here to the left, there is an area that is pretty, I mean, you know, I don't know if anything really goes wrong, but they refer to it because the area is so huge. When you look at the comparison to the other lymph nodes, this little area right here that looks like it's right here in this abdominal area, this cisterna chili, okay, it's a very prominent sac. Not too sure if anything goes really wrong with that, but what it's doing, both sides of the lumbar region go into this area. So very prominent, very huge, drains a lot of the fluid. Then simply once again, continuing our path, making their way to that subclavian vein. When we begin to see how this system works, the system works because first we pick up the fluid. Whatever might be in it, we are dependent upon cells of the body, such as those white blood cells, okay? We are dependent on them functioning correctly. So the cells of this system